Right, ladies and gentlemen, to round off today's sessions, we have got something very, very nice, something a little bit different. We are calling it a coffee chat with David. Is he going to coffee chat? We will wait and see. We are going to be doing reimagining F&B operations through disruption. F&B operations have long relied on traditional models, but shifting that consumer expectations and new tech are forcing a big rethink. And the most innovative brands are flipping the script by putting people, both customers and teams, at the center of their operational strategy. That's what we are talking about. It's not about reinventing for the sake of it. It's all about building the systems that actually work for the people in them. So, our moderator for this session is David Singleton, strategic advisor and transformation growth coach at Oraculi. And we have Alex Garcia, managing partner, Infinity Concepts. We have Tom Arnell, founder Etex, and Abdullah Al-Haja, MD Swift Food Investments, and Andrea Ramirez Leon, Emirates Leisure Retail and Costa Coffee, Ops Excellence and Training Manager. Let's give them all a nice round of applause, please. Come on, guys, let's have some energy. It's the last one of the day. Let's go. There we go. Thank you so much.
All right. Are we on? Are we on, everybody? All right. There's a few conferences I've ended, and we're going to end this one in real style. But listen, in my work, I sit across the table with the smallest of entrepreneurs to the global brands, entrepreneurs who want to make a difference and global brands who want to stay relevant. And be that as coach, advisor, creator, whatever it is I am doing, that's what I do. Whatever it is, the one thing that remains constant is that average doesn't survive anymore. And growth is no longer, well, it is the goal. Distinction is. And across all four of our speakers today, we're going to talk about their relevance and their distinction. And again, this is my view. And in my view, that the brands that do cut through are those brands that create that third element to whatever it is they're doing. And that can be a Costa Coffee. It can be a drive-through, it can be a coffee house, it can be a social space. Whatever it is, there does need to be that, in my view, the third element. And I also think that this is a region that is leading that change. I believe we're living in an age of entrepreneurship. We're living in an age of the homegrown, and we're living in an age where brands not only are coming to market but are emerging from here and making a difference. And that's what this session is going to be about. It's about how do we make a difference, be that from the menu, be that from our design, be that from our point of difference or our people. But we've got four people on the stage here who have done it all and currently doing all the hard work for us to enjoy ourselves, be that breakfast, afternoon, evening, late night, drive-through, on the road, or whatever it is we're doing. Right. I cornered Andrea earlier. Well, you cornered me. So you got to be careful what you wish for when you come and say hi to David, because you end up on a panel.
I think this is just a demonstration that dreams do come true. So there you go.
I'm not going to ask you what your dream was. No, listen, what struck me, and I did say this to the team, that this is an operators conference and it's full of men. Yet some of the women in our industry really do make a point of difference, and they round off the male hormones in the restaurant and on the floor. But let's get to it. Let's talk about defining edge. And I think four brands here have defined edge. Be that, well, whatever it is. What comes first when you build something new? Is it vision? Is it location? Is it feeling? Is it menu? What is it, Tom?
Wow. Deep question, David.
I didn't say it was going to be easy.
Yeah. To be honest, the answer to the question, I think, has changed over the years, because I used to think it was vision, but now I think it's location, actually, because at Edex, we have 10 brands across 23 locations across the city, and they're all different for a reason. And they're different because we're trying to feed the city with what it needs. And that could be specialty coffee, it could be Asian cuisine, it could be a family beach club, it could be the best specialty coffee we can find in a mall. So it has to be location-based. So over the years, my view on that has changed, because if you remember back in 2013 when we opened Tom and Serge in El Cuz, it was vision. But we had no option with that location. We had to go for the El Cruz location because no one else would give us the lease. So we ended up there out of luck, and that's what's grown the company.
I have a view, and it is a view. I've got lots of views that you can come to market here. You have to come to market with a point of difference, and you have to do things well. Take the Thomas Serge location. Who knows Thomas Serge in the room? A few.
Hopefully a few, yeah.
So a few. Thomas Serge, in my view, and what you've done, Tom, you have defined cafe culture in its emergence in this part of the world. And if you think about 12 years ago.
Yep, 12 years.
Where would you go for that social coffee in that Aussie style or that Mediterranean way? Not really. I was running brands like Cafe Nero at the time, which was a cool coffee house, but there was very few others. So is for other people to correct me. In my view, I think you define the cafe culture here in this part of the world. Others are catching up with you. Others are doing equally as great a job as you are. But satisfy the hypothesis for me that actually you can come to market here and open a place anywhere, and people will come and find you if you do something really, really well with a point of difference. What do you say to that, Alex?
I don't think you can open any concept anywhere. It doesn't matter how good it is. See, to respond to that same question, I think for us, it always starts with location, because usually it's business owners, hotel owners that come to us because they have a space and they don't know what to do with it. There's other occasions in which we have, let's say, an investor, and we have an idea like Brass Monkey, and we have no place where to put it, but we know it's going to do so well. Then it comes, looking at different options. Of course, open Brass Monkey at the beginning of COVID. So it was a bit difficult even to be able to visit spaces. But when we did it in Blue Waters, it did very well. But that was the only concept where it came before the location. All the others, location came first. Let's say the location of C'est La Vie, the location of Billionaire, the location of Miss Tess, the location of all these concepts were a location, an owner that came to us, and I need to do something with this. And then it turned into the concepts that I've mentioned. There were others, but yeah, so I guess vision comes, I would say, after, for me. I think location comes first. You study that location, that neighborhood, what people are offering, what people are willing to travel to for that specific concept. What is the spending behavior of the demographics that you try to target in that specific location? Because we also change our spending behavior depending on where we go. We go to Al Wasl and we think of something. We go to Al Barari and we think that this is going to cost something else. Right? So yeah, for us is circumstantially location first.
Andrea, you're kind of head of people, head of emotion in your business. You're just talking to you. That's what you talk about. How do I make a difference from a human perspective? And the question I wrote down here was how do you define that emotional anchor in a business? And you're running a very different business. You're all running very different businesses. How do you define that before you've even opened one of your locations? What do you do to make a point of difference?
Okay, we're going strong. So obviously we are a global brand. So it comes with some brand standards for us. So the brand already has automatically some expectations of where should we be, what should we be selling. One of the things that define us more in UAE is that we as a franchisee have the opportunity to actually become more creative and have that vision of what do we want this store to look like? What do we want to achieve with this store? And based on that vision, we start looking into some of the locations. Obviously, we are a business, so we look into the areas that can be profitable. But when it comes to all of these aspects, for us is thinking always about the people. So we always start about what customers we want to attract. How do we want our customers to feel? And that feeling is super important because for us, if the customer has an expectation already, you go to McDonald's, you know what you're going to get from a Big Mac. You come to Costa, you know what the coffee is going to taste like. But what is going to make them come back is how we make them feel. They know they're going to receive a smile. They know that they have an expectation of service. They have an expectation of speed. So we look a lot around that feeling. The brand is being made. It's the second largest coffee brand in the world. Is the feeling that we give that keeps making people come back to us. And that's part of the vision that we had. The location comes alongside, but the people is what keeps it going.
It's so true. And Abdullah, that's what you've done with Chicago Beach, isn't it? You have this really cool, fun, wholesome element to what you've created with your business.
I mean, with Chicago Beach, I think I'm going to echo similarly to what, Costa Lady here says. But I think for us, the I mean, at least for us personally, the edge has always been culture and service. Thinking of it within, kind of even echoing Alex, sorry, what Alex says here about location. And given that we run in a drive-through, and that was kind of we were almost forced into being into that location, and we couldn't go anywhere else. So we've tried to excel at least with our side, with providing not just good or satisfactory, but even exceptional service in a drive-through. And I can bet you, even as a customer, or all of us here as customers, I can count, on my fingers the number of times that I was happy in a drive-through in terms of customer service. The casual conversation, the back and forth, less of a transactional, moment, but more of a human being moment. And I think that's what, I'm very proud of from our team and our ops team for continuing that from the previous brand to our baby Chicago Beach. And the facts, they speak for themselves.
But it's happy when you turn up at your windows, isn't it? The team are there, they've got the salute, and they really lean into it, and it makes a difference.
Yeah. And it's not overly, it's not overly just for show without meaning.
Not a bit.
As we see with other brands, especially startups, where they try to do too much, and it's in the end it's just for show. It doesn't mean anything. But rather here it's a human connection. It's something that the customer notices. We remember your regulars, remember birthdays, as if you're talking to your friend, but not a transactional communication. And that's what we try to do.
But I also, with Costa, not in your time, but when I used to run Cafe Nero's, one of the brands I ran, and if ever I needed somebody good, I would go and hunt them. Well, I wouldn't. My team would go and hunt them down at Costa Coffee. They were well trained, they were disciplined, they were loyal, all of it, and we managed to get some great people out of you guys. So thank you for doing it.
I haven't taken anyone from you, Andrea.
No, we took your barista champion. We took your barista champion, I do remember. And you still dream about me, and you still said yes.
This is a good time for me to say you're welcome.
You need a good lawyer?
No, so that's true. And if I was in the business still now, I would probably do the same. It's said in my opening there that the rise of the homegrown entrepreneur, and I don't know, Tom, what has it been, 15 years really in Dubai where local entrepreneurship has come about. And I think in Saudi Arabia, maybe the last 5 years, entrepreneurship's really there. And I remember when I first met you, the words still ring in my mind. Why are all these people coming to my country? Al Shire, Al Tire, all these big brands eating our lunch. Why can't I have some of this? And that's how we ended up working together. To create your future global brand. And that was our mindset. It's not quite there yet, but it will be, for sure. But what are local what are the local entrepreneurs doing that global brands aren't, Tom?
Yeah, well, for starters, local entrepreneurs, we started small and without much money. Without any money, really.
Yeah.
So, you don't have a marketing budget. You don't have the luxury of hiring, great people in HR or, great people in finance or whatever. So you make so many mistakes. And often through that desperation and making, mistakes and just trying to make a business work is where the edgy stuff comes from. And that's where you have to get really creative. So, some of the best work I ever did, I feel like was done really early, just because we're just prepared to take so many risks.
Like what? What kind of things?
Oh, God, there was so many of them. It's almost like the wackier the idea, the crazier the idea, the more it worked,
Yeah.
I remember doing at Tom, and I don't want to talk only about Tom and Serge, but we went back, back in the day in 2014, we were thinking, oh my God, Ramadan's coming up. We have to close for the month. What are we going to do?
Yes.
So we thought, let's do the opposite of what is expected. And we turned a specialty coffee cafe into a place that served a Sunday roast every day. A British Sunday roast, and we had lines out the door because it hadn't been seen before. I could give many examples like that, but ultimately that level of creativity can only come when you're desperate. These global brands are not desperate. They're bringing over franchise packs. No offense, but I was there. I had to deal with it. I was fighting against the big brands to try and get new spaces for restaurants, and they wouldn't listen to me. Yeah. And they'd say, if you want a space, okay, here, give me 5 years of checks. And we go, okay, well, there we go. Sign off 5 years of checks. And, that's a scary time. Yeah. So to make it work, you got to be creative. Yeah, I think that is what really does hold an edge over the creativity that we're seeing in Dubai, especially over the last 5, 6, 7 years, is coming from these small startups. There are so many of them, I can't even count anymore. And a lot of them are locally owned now. Back in the 2013, 14, there wasn't that many homegrown F&B entrepreneurs that were doing this sort of modern take on F&B. But now that you see so many Emirati entrepreneurs doing amazing things and really giving the restaurant scene here in Dubai a big global push. So I think there's going to be even more in the next 10 years.
No question. No question. If I was talking to Dawn Wilson, she was on the panel earlier from Chipotle, and they've come here it's been an avalanche of revenue for Al Shaya. It's been a huge success story. But 10 years ago, when an Al Shaya brand came and they opened and they didn't take it for granted, probably did, but now they have to work so much harder to fight for every dollar that they're taking now. Alex, from your perspective, you're entrepreneurs, but you are creating these extraordinary brands. So what are you doing that the global can't do, or they can't replicate?
I think flexibility. I think the fact of we have individual venues in each one of them with a different identity, each one of them with a different management style. And because we are on top of them, because we are present, allows us to be very flexible. See, like last week when you came to Uptown Social, and I told you that we had that couple of regular ladies that were coming for lunch, and they mentioned, I asked them, because I see them often, and every now and then, it's like, how are you doing? I asked them, is there something that you like to have in the menu? Remember, they mentioned a couple of things, and immediately the week after, we had 4 more mains and 2 more salads.
Wow.
Because I can.
Yeah.
Because I get firsthand customer feedback, and I can make a change.
Yeah.
But that goes, I think, with everything. I think it's I think sometimes we forget about the importance of little things like daily reports, and having the closing manager filling this daily report that you read in the morning, obviously, and then you read it and you get customer feedback, but you do something on it. You do something about it. If you hear, I'm not saying that someone says, okay, this is a bit salty or I don't like the taste of these. It's like, but if you hear it a couple of times, it's something for you to work on and you should act on it. I think global brands, they're so, I'm sorry, Andrea, I'm really sorry.
Okay, I'm coming.
I think global brands have all these standards, operating procedures and all. Listen, it's really good that you guys have the power, the time, the resources to invest on such good training programs, right? But I think also at the same time, it prevents you from being able to change things around quick enough.
But it's
because
how
the
they're
market changes so
implemented, though, right?
fast. Yeah.
It is the how.
Yeah.
Again, you talk to Dawn, they know what's happening every minute. At 10 o'clock, the cilantro needs to be cut, and if it's not cut, why not? And it is military, what they're doing. Probably not a good word to use.
We have good procedures. I think there's certain things that need to be quiet. If you know what's your expectations for lunch and the cilantro's not being cut on time, that we have a problem, right, in the chain of prep. But again, I'm talking about being able to be flexible, being able to adjust the brand. If the brand has matured and has been running for a long time, and at a certain point it's exhausted, right? And you have to refresh it. You have to do something about it. And I think because we are, I guess in the case of Tom, the same. You're able to okay, people are bored of this menu. People are bored of this. Let's change it. Guys, sit all together. And in 2 weeks, everything is turned around. Or a week,
But what about from your perspective? Because you were telling me earlier, Andrea, how you're getting pulled into other brands and how you can inspire and try and make changes. So if there was you wanted to say something.
I've been biting my tongue. No, I think I don't disagree with anything that you guys have said, but from a big business perspective, one of the things that I'm going back to maybe 12 years ago in the UK when the coffee industry was all about Starbucks, Costanero, and Pret a Manger, but Pret a Manger was more about the food than the coffee. I remember independent coffee shops started. Complete panic. What do we do? How do we implement it? How do we fight? Independent, until we learn that it's not about fighting, it's about what can we learn from independent. How can we be challenged by independent? How can we be challenged by homegrown? Something that we're currently doing really, really good. Yes, it's a slower process than what it is for you, but we have to respond to, if we react to every single customer feedback that we have, we're probably going to become 20 different brands in one shop only. So when we're thinking about the challenge and the opportunity that homegrown brands give us is, one, it gives an opportunity for collaboration. We are creating great things with homegrown brands. We're utilizing local things to help us continue bringing customers and building loyalty as well. but also it gives us an opportunity to become more creative, more innovative. It challenges every single day thinking, what are you doing that we're not doing? And why not? What's blocking us? So it helps us to create a level that we're consistently innovating and consistently evolving, because we know homegrown is becoming massive. And if we want to stay relevant, we need to watch the market. We need to see what's becoming relevant and work alongside or better. Doesn't mean that we always perform the same level and have the same capacity, but we do it. And that keeps us sustainable. The operational standards, again, we want people to feel comfortable that no matter where they are, they can find us. And for us, that consistency is really important, because it's that brand edge that we have, is that part of, where if you go to the IFC versus if you go to China, you're going to be able to taste the same latte on the same standard and still feel at home. So for us, those operational standards are really important for that consistency. However, the autonomy and the way that people delivers it and the way that the people communicates with you is what is tailored, and that's why some people continue coming. Same for you. Your two lunch ladies, if I recall correctly, they keep coming at you because they feel heard. Doesn't mean that they always love the food, because you had to change it. So it's just an opportunity for us to continue thinking, how do we both enable each other? How do you feel challenged by a corporation? What makes you want to drive more? And also, how do you help us to continue becoming innovative? Because staying on the 1971s is not going to work.
How top of mind is this threat of the local entrepreneur to your business?
It's a big factor, and especially talking about the UAE, I think, as you were saying earlier on, like, it's becoming a massive innovation hub for the world. It's no longer just an innovation hub from around the corner. It's a global industry. It is a big conversational topic that we have on nearly daily basis, because it's not just challenging on our products, it's also challenging on the way that the store feels, in the way that the team feels, in every single aspect. So it is a big topic, but it's also, we don't necessarily see it as a major threat, because comfortably we come with a really great brand reputation and brand recognition, right? Even if someone hasn't tasted it, if you're new into a country, you recognize the name, you feel confident on going towards that place rather than trying something new. But it does help us to really consistently think, what are we doing? Why are we staying behind? And how can we move it?
Yeah, I mean, I know Tyrone very well. He and I used to work together back in England, and he'll be at your backside. So, yeah.
But it's a great, because I was actually having a conversation with Tyrone. Tyrone is the CEO of the business, where we were talking about innovation, and we had to have that conversation about what's really stopping us from becoming faster on innovating.
Absolutely right.
And we realized the blocker was ourselves, thinking that we needed to follow all of those strategies, all of these steps, all of these processes, instead of saying, chuck it, let's just do it, let's just try it, let's implement it and learn from it. So that's when the agile thinking started happening, and more things are happening and evolving. But that wouldn't have happened without you homegrown businesses. That's the part that is pushing us. Again, we continue evolving, but...
Yeah, it's true. Abdullah and I were working together. We're not just opening one business here. We're building a global brand. We're just starting with one. Yeah, when I talk to you, Tom, you're now building a global business. You've been through those highs and lows and those rough patches, and you're there now, and you're ready to springboard around the world. Abdullah, I'm curious. Again, it's another view of mine that actually we support our own, as locals. We've all been here a long time, but I mean, you are local. We're in your country here. We're in your territory, if you like. But are we seeing this power shift really to the homegrown? Am I going to come to your coffee shop and not a Costa, by default, if you like?
I think yes. And I think we're starting to see that shift. Of course, I feel a lot of customers have different reasons for them to do so. But I feel smaller coffee shops, let's say smaller F&B or restaurants, they are able to, as Alex mentioned, they have that flexibility and agility to cater directly to the, local, or let's say local in terms of geographically local, needs, whether it be on an item level, on a store layout, or on their kind of behavioral aspects. As in where, like, brands like Costa or Starbucks, it's a copy paste model. It's a cookie cutter build, and if they don't do that, it's chaos, right?
Yes.
But I think at least for us within the local community, yes, we we see a big surge in demand for local-owned, or Emirati-owned coffee shops and restaurants that have that agility, that have that platform to directly reach to the customers, and we're seeing that shift, and especially because whether I went through a small kind of phase, and due to the whole geopolitical situation, some people have options now, or some people want different options.
Yep.
They would like certain things for whatever reason, and I was one of those, or is one of those people. That actually, that was the same time where we established Chicago Beach, and I realized that if I would want to go out and to select certain options, there is no QSR options in the market. Walk into any food court or any drive-through, there is no options. It's all US based, and that's fine, but that's not what I want to have. That's what the whole the whole reason behind Chicago Beach is to be an option. So I think due to various reasons, not necessarily all of it is one. I think there is a shift, but I think at the same time, as Andrea mentioned, bigger brands are as well trying their best to kind of target local audiences by localizing menus. They've always done that, but even on a collaboration level, like you mentioned with Chunk, they're attracting customers at the same time. So obviously, it'll never be a black and white, and we never wanted to, because I think it's all one big ecosystem, and we should all win at the end, right? Whether it's SMEs or internationals, and I think they all have a play. And it'll be interesting.
I mean, when I come and see you in El Kawanij at Home Bakery, I'm the only white guy there. But it's charming. It really is charming, and I love it there for that very reason.
Real Dubai.
Yeah, no, it is true. Yeah. It can be very fake sometimes. We talk about that. That's how the world is emerging here. But going there, I might have to drive another 20 minutes, but actually, that's where I get authentic service. I get the authentic feeling. You talked about feeling a lot. How do you want to make me feel at the end of the day? Another couple of words that gets chucked about a lot is this world class. And we are, I think, taking brands around the world. And Alex, your studio develops brands, and I'm pretty sure when you sit down and you think, how can this become a global brand, world-class brand? What is Dubai's definition of world-class when it comes to this sector?
Class. To be honest, every time that we create a concept, I don't think of the world. I think of what works immediately here. I think we think of concepts that are going to succeed here, and then because every market is so different. Obviously, I'm Spanish. I had the luck of working in the UK and in Germany, and each one of these countries are so vastly different, even if within Europe as well. I wouldn't create a concept here with the thought that there needs to be something that works everywhere. I'm not a fan, you have already noticed, but I'm not a fan of franchises. I have worked for, and I have super high, crazy respect for systems, of having that consistency of, especially of trainings. I think we so often forget about trainings and the importance of trainings in hospitality. And it's something that we have spent so much time and energy on ourselves. World class. I really don't have an answer. I think Dubai in itself is world class. I think Dubai beats any other city in the world in so many metrics. Not in everything, of course, but in so many metrics. But I love the metrics that work in here.
How would you define it, Tom? Because you have an ambition to take your brands around the world. So you already think I have world-class brands.
Yeah.
I would offer.
Yeah, it's I think the respect for what we create in Dubai has changed globally.
Yes.
Over the last 5-10 years, we now have respect. I think before that, a lot of the Dubai brands were not really being respected in the global market, and I think that's because of this massive amount of innovation that's happened over the last 5-10 years. I was listening to what you were saying before about Costa. The market has become so competitive, it's pushed the standard right up. So just because of the fact that there's this huge, disparity between like the supply and demand of real estate. So everyone wants all these great, locations, but you can only get them if you've one, got the sales, or two, got the respect, So if you have the respect of the landlord, it's because you're creating something great. So we could see it because we were getting approached by mall landlords to come and put out brands or create brands for the malls. That never happened before that. So the landscape of what is coming out of this city is now changed so much that now, I feel comfortable taking a Dubai brand and going global with it. So we're really trying to do that. Whether it's in an airport or a shopping mall or a hotel or whatever, You could be literally anywhere. So yeah, it's changed. The standard is sky high.
From Costa's perspective, Costa Dubai, when you sit round your global tables and your peers around the world, what's your world class?
For us, it's a little bit more structure. And why that structure comes is because we're trying to re-image the way that the customers perceive us. And that comes with consistency. You can't call yourself being world class if you cannot be consistent across. And that's really important. Recognition in terms of how does customers perceive you, and not just as Costa, as the brand, but how do they perceive the feelings that they got from that one. Because the reality is that the customers are going to be looking for some things: product, convenience, price, and accessibility. If you have the right product but it's not accessible, it's not going to be world class because it's not going to be reachable to anybody. If you have accessibility but your product is not great, nobody's going to want to buy it regardless of you being on everyone's faces all the time. So if it's not at the right price, it doesn't matter if it's the cheapest thing. In people, it's a really funny thing. People will pay thousands and thousands of dirhams to go and have a really nice steak because they know it's going to be the nicest steak that they had probably that year. But when it comes to the coffee industry, where there is so many different variables and there is so many different types of coffee, people doesn't just look for an excellent geisha cup of coffee that is going to take them away from this reality. They just look of like, but I can get that geisha here, or I can get that geisha there. Which one is cheaper? Or thinking about that perspective. So you need to be able to market everything. So what the things that we look at is that price, that convenience, that accessibility, and thinking that we have the right product from the right market. Something that we do really good is actually tailoring our markets. So yes, we have our core curriculum, so you can find the same core drinks across the globe. But then also we have our LTLs. So the drinks that you can find only in UAE, only in China, only in Japan, etc. And same of the food. The food is always localized to target the market that we have and the audience that we have. And that helps us to elevate that world class because it offers a different perspective with consistency across the core.
Interesting. So I've lost count of the amount of restaurants that I've opened, brands that I've helped create or led or been part of that team. What's the fundamental is food and drink. But there's also this third element that people keep coming back that's hard to describe. Sometimes it's the music, sometimes it's the entertainment, sometimes it's the chaos, sometimes it's the people, sometimes it's the vibe. What matters to a designer, creator, is that whatever you've created is deliberate. And if whatever is in your restaurant is not there for a reason, then why bother? All of you have built brands at varying levels that carry this signature energy, and you've talked just to yours. But I want to just kind of dig into this third element. And Tom, you can satisfy every day part for everybody in this room, in this hotel. What are the third elements that you deliberately build in that perhaps we don't see but feel? Or what is your third element that you would be most proud of?
Yeah, it's the little touches that not everybody knows. That's for sure. And they're the hardest to get right. And you also cannot, really put them in black and white. It needs to come from instinct. And you need to have people that know it. So at EDEX, we're lucky to have, a huge team of people. But at the head of that, I have some amazing leaders that have actually seen everything. They've gone through and they've worked, they know what it's like to make coffee. They know what it's like to wait tables. They know what it's like to, get yelled at by an unhappy customer. And these people over the years, they're sitting right here, actually. There's 3 of them there that have been working with me for a long time, since day one, really. And have helped literally build brand by brand and venue by venue, and have dealt with my shit a lot. So well done, guys. But it's that point. It's the point of they know the intricacies of, you can't really teach someone to make sure that they're wearing the uniform correctly, or they're in a certain way, or because they're adding their personality to it. They're adding their personality to service. They know, the music volume without having to be so robotic, because restaurants can't be so robotic. They have to have personality to them. So it's those people that hold the standards. They learn it. That third element is the people, and making sure they know, and it's ingrained in them, what the brand is. And without them, if you lose them, your brand is gone.
It's interesting. I was at the Guild a couple of weeks ago. One evening I was there with someone and it was busy. I do deliberately go to places that I know, where I know I'm going to get looked after. It's that sense of reassurability, isn't it? And the guild that night happened to be cool. But anyway, there was no tables. But the minute they saw I was uncomfortable, I got a table.
Instinct. Good to know.
But it is. And I always say, there's always a table, dear heart. You know, as a restaurant manager, it doesn't matter. There's always a table. Don't tell me you're full, because you'll always find a table. You'll always find a chair. You'll always find a seat. You make it happen. If it's important to you, that is.
Yeah. Good to know.
What's yours? I remember the latest place that we designed with Fatty Tuna. I mean, there was so many cool elements to that, wasn't there?
I think setting the tone. I think as you guys were talking about that, I was just remembering the creative process of creating Taboo at the St. Regis downtown before, as it was before on the 23rd and 24th floor. For us, I think it's very important. People talk about the music, the lighting, the overall design, but I think the arrival process is incredibly important. Sometimes you're driving and you're in that energy of driving, right? Sometimes you're in a cab, and you're having a chill talk with your wife or with your friends or whatever it is. But I think that part of that immersion into a concept like Taboo, it required a process. And that's why we created a tunnel. We separated the elevator, created a tunnel from the street that already would put you in that mood. It was dark, there was some designs, you could start already to feel the music of it. In the elevator, we had music. We also redesigned the elevator. You go up and you have that lush entrance with a very, very high ceiling and all these mini sumo wrestlers, each one of them painted differently from floor to ceiling. And the lighting, and you could see the receptionist in there. So you already start that process. It's already putting you in that feel. And then when you enter, you have your first drink by the bar, hopefully, if the upselling process goes well. And, you're already in that mood. And I think that's very important. I think sometimes we talk about strategies to upsell, strategies to suggestively sell something else. And what about the arrival? Put people in that mood first, so that they are more likely to let go of everything that happened throughout the day and relax. And when they relax and they enjoy, they're more likely to potentially meet that average spend that you were expecting.
So make it so easy for people. Make it easy for me. I've finished work. I don't want to make any more decisions.
Yeah, so actually that's another point. Sometimes people don't even want to bother looking at the menu. It's like, what is good? You know what? We have a tasting menu prepared here. It's a set menu that allows you to taste everything because we had a lot of creative dishes. So, and we pair it, we could have it paired with wine or pair it with signature cocktails. And you make it as easy as possible. First, you set the tone, and maybe that's that third element, no? Yeah. That creating that atmosphere. But the atmosphere is not only the place, it's how you make people feel on their arrival. And then facilitating it to them. Of course, it's great having entertainment and having a girl hanging from the ceiling on the hair and having a good DJ. I mean, yeah, this is fantastic. But it's important to look at all that, the arrival experience. Every time before we open, we create a customer journey. We have there Margarita and Eliza. They know very well what the customer journey is and how much time we put into that. But I personally train on the customer journey as well.
It's so important. It is so important. But let's take it off the catwalk, which is where you are. You're the couture, aren't you? And let's put it mainstream, which is where you sit, Abdullah. Yeah, what's the third element to Chicago Beach, you think, that you have that makes you stand out in your sector?
In my opinion, the third element is a culmination of the basic elements. I think what makes a restaurant special is that all of the other elements are in harmony. They work together. Like Tom mentioned, it's the small things. Like Alex mentioned, it's arriving. So I think food, the service, the staff, and that's what actually made me fall in love in this industry, is because there's so many variables. For some people, it's a headache. I have to deal with a million things at the same time. But for me, it's like, even though I don't watch football, but it's like football. You can't have a great goalkeeper if you don't have anyone that scores goals. You can't have a defense if you don't have, right wing, left wing. So I think only once the best teams are where, they don't just have the best striker, they have the best goalkeeper, they have the best defense, they have, the best coach, the training, the recovery. So I think it's the same for restaurants. And I feel, at least within our journey, and maybe Tom, you've seen that, early on, is that as the brand develops and turns into that, it clicks, that's something special, as you kind of tweak and adjust along the way, everything kind of falls down into a place where it makes sense, it clicks. And I think it creates that special moment where, from the arrival into ordering, how the staff are, the greeting the customers, these special kind of, moments, or, the decor, maybe the smell, maybe the music, whatever there is, a certain kind of, maybe it's something silly, but for me, one of the best, restaurants growing up was, Chili's, or Fuddruckers.
What was the point of difference that they had?
We were at least we grew up with Fuddruckers, because they had like a small.
You've lived here all your life.
So and it was an Algarhood, the OGs remember,
yes.
and we used to go there because they had this play area, right?
Right.
And it was super active. They had a lot of events. They had a lot of, back then they had a lot of events for kids, and even for semi-government and government, they would bring kids, and so it was a very lovely atmosphere. That created a lot of memories. And I think, that was part of nostalgia. And I think, and the patience of doing the same thing over and over and over, that consistency is, if I go to, let's say, an Encounter or a Tom and Sturge or a Costa tomorrow, today, day after tomorrow, next week, next month, I am expecting something. I'm expecting that special, edge, treatment, service, food, smell. Maybe not the best smell. It's not like fragrant smell, but, once you walk into let's say a coffee shop or maybe a KFC, I don't know, but it might smell not that great, but KFC lovers will love that smell. It's like someone says, it's like, the best thing about McDonald's is that their nuggets are garbage, but they're amazingly garbage, like they're consistently garbage. And that's why he keeps ordering the nuggets.
But it's really interesting, we were talking earlier, Andrea, and how old is Costa Coffee?
Ooh, it started in 1971 as a family-grown business.
Right. So 1971.
It is homegrown.
Yeah. The same year as Hard Rock, interestingly enough. Yeah. So 1971, you were sharing the story of two guys coming over to England from Italy.
Yes.
Just share that story and why it's almost relevant to today. It's almost done the complete 360, hasn't it?
Yeah. So it's really...
Sorry, this is another third element to what we're talking about.
Absolutely. For the ones that don't know, Costa Coffee originated in 1971 in London. So it actually started in central London, and it was all on the back of two Italian brothers, Bruno and Sergio, moving to the UK to look for better life for whatever reason people moves away. But they were extremely disappointed on the coffee that they found in London. And because they couldn't really find something that they liked, they started roasting their own coffee at home. Soon enough, they started roasting too much, started selling it as a white label. So they would sell the coffee bags, 1 kilo, into hotels. They actually they used to transport it in a black cab. That was the transportation method at that time. The demand started becoming really big. They continued roasting at home. And a few years later, it was in 1917, I believe it was, they opened their first retail store in central London, which it was not necessarily because they went to get into retail, but it was because Bruno's and Sergio's wives were a bit upset that they were not at home very often. So they opened the store for the wives to run. So the first retail store actually was run by Bruno and Sergio's wife. They used to make the sandwiches, they used to make the bread, they used to do everything locally sourced. And it started attracting a lot of people. So years later, after 41 stores and one roastery, still family-owned business, family-run, the sons and the family and the cousins, they were working as part of the roastery. The master roasters were, everyone was Italian in that building. They sold to Whitbread, which was a massive opportunity. Whitbread in the UK runs a lot of Premier Inns, and they have a lot of bars and restaurants as well. And that was the first opportunity for them to become global. In 1999 is when we first expanded internationally. And the first market and the first actual industry that believed in the brand was UAE. So the first international Costa store actually is here in Dubai, in Aviation Club. And it still, it still exists. It's still open. Yeah. And it's literally one of... we have a lot of Costa gigs in the world. People travel, there is literally, we call them Costaristas, they literally travel around the world just to see different Costa stores. And Dubai is a destination for people that work in Costa because of that one store. And the progression continued. The brothers had every item, so the design of our cups was designed by them, and it was designed, guess what? By one of the cousins. Was Italian as well, Italian China. So everything started as an idea of what would I like to drink as a customer? What would make me happy? And then realizing, whoa, I have too much. How can I profit from this? And creating our global brand. In 2017 was purchased by Coca-Cola. So I just want you to go back to when Bruno and Sergio sold 41 stores and 1 roastery. They had 42 stores, but they kept the original store to London for 20 million pounds, which is a lot of money back in the day. They sold it to Coca-Cola in 2017 for 3.9 billion pounds. Just put it into perspective.
Tom?
Yeah.
So when it
Numbers
comes
are,
towards that brand edge, and when we're talking about
I'm going to stop the alcohol
homegrown versus
business.
franchise, all I see is opportunity.
But why did I ask you to share that? But when you think, there's a few reasons. One, you know the story. You know the story and you can share the story. And you can share that dream. People think that there's this red and white brand or purple and white brand, but actually there's legacy to it. What do we talk about? Building. We created legacy, wrote the story. Chicago Beach. Chicago Beach is a beach down here, and that's where there's a whole story behind it. The story that you shared is beautiful. Sorry, go on.
And I was just going to say, you know what makes it really beautiful? And when you were asking about the third thing, is that no matter which store in the world you go to, they know this story and they believe in it, because Bruno and Sergio made it a mission as well to visit countries, to say hello. All of the people in the leadership positions, regardless of being a global brand or being a regional brand, like for us, MENA, or Europe, or us as a franchise, our leadership goes to every single store and says hi to everybody. You will see our CEO picking up a tray from the table and taking it to the back of the house and putting it on the kitchen. So one of the things that, although yes, we're a massive corporation, we have like over 4,000 stores around the world, 43 countries, you name it. Every single leadership, being on the shoes of a barista or not, takes pride of who we are and understands what it feels like to be on the ground and the impact that visibility and acknowledgement creates, which is emotional safety. Our baristas feel super comfortable on going and speaking to our CEO and saying, this is my problem, help me fix it, because they believe he will fix it. And that emotional safety that we give to our teams, regardless where you are in the world, is translated to our customers, because now our baristas feel confident that they're going to be safe, so they look after our customers as well.
You're kind of answering everything that's down here at the moment.
Sorry.
No, it's beautiful. Because I said at the top of this that where I work with global brands, and I've been blessed all my life, I've only ever worked with teams and brands that are growing, which is why I do what I do now. So to the entrepreneur, and for the entrepreneur, you think, oh, Jesus, how do I scale my brand? And it's those people who have done it before that they kind of pull the entrepreneur through this journey. You're running 160 locations, you're running 28. One day it will be 160. But how do you...
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
You can make it a franchise.
4.9 billion is sexy. But it's easy to replicate look and feel.
Yeah.
It's easy to replicate location. It's really hard to recreate this vibe, this energy that we've talked about, this level of happiness, this culture that we talk about. When we go to your places, there's this culture there that try replicate that, which Tom wants to. What are you doing today to really build an environment to protect that culture when you go from 28 to 128 across 10 different countries?
Good question. I'm not there yet, though, David.
I can
doing
help
my
you.
best. Yeah. It's been enough of a challenge just getting to the 23 that we have. It's 28 soon, hopefully. But for us, it's like every day is an opportunity to just get up and go. To build a business, I think now in this day and age where it is so competitive, you really have to have a drive, and you really have to just solve hundreds and hundreds of problems on the go. So the biggest thing that we have at the moment is just trying to find the best locations, the right leases, the right terms, and everybody, including the big guys, are really trying to snap up all the new locations. It's one of the things that we're focused on. We're as a group, we're driven to make sure that every new customer that comes into our venue learns the brand, understands it, and becomes a loyal customer. Our industry is so cutthroat that it really is something you have to be full hands-on 24/7. My team that are here, they send me daily reports. Maybe it's overkill, but it's 2 or 3 times a day. about all the different brands. We're constantly getting customer feedback on the fly. WhatsApp is good. Some people hate it, some people love it, but it's effective in getting communication out really quick. As we start to embark on this big amount of growth, we're trying to just dot the I's and cross the T's and set up for some global success.
Everybody in our business, in your business, is a future owner, is a future customer for life if we can keep them. What's the value of that human in our business? Their children are going to end up working for you and so on and so forth. But what's the next edge? What's next for this business that we all sit and enjoy and that consumes our life, Alex?
As a region, as me, as individually, as a company.
But what's the next coolie for our business in this market that we can grow and take away?
Well, first of all, safety in the region. That's
Sure.
incredibly important because obviously all of us, one way or another, are affected by tourism. Tourism declines. Our business also declines. Thankfully, we live in one of the safest countries in the world, which is great. What's coming next, I can't really tell. I think it's important to see, for me, and we were having this discussion earlier, I value standards, training, procedures. We do have them in all our places. I think they're incredibly important. But I think also hospitality and also investing time on your employees, on your colleagues, on your teammates. I think today the F&B business has to go back to hospitality. That is not, you do not sell food and drinks. You're selling an experience, and we often forget about it.
Yeah.
I think, and I talk about it as a Spaniard, and I think for us in Spain, still, there's also a decline in that field where everything is so internationalized. And even, little businesses where you could go there and the family were working in that cafe or that restaurant are gradually disappearing, especially in major cities, for obvious reasons. I think we have to go back to hospitality. Sometimes you go to restaurants and are doing well, but there's no hospitality. There is no charm in the welcoming. There is no will to spend time with you by the waiter. The role of the host has completely disappeared, which is the maître, right? This is maître d'hôtel. That's something in a restaurant. There's that person that is there attending your needs. And you still have it in the French Riviera. You still have it in the northwest of Italy, in all these touristic areas where you have a person that it looks like a restaurant manager, but it's not really a restaurant manager. It's a maître. It's a person that sometimes sits with you, has a coffee with you, chats with you. What are you doing here? Are you coming back again? Message me when you want to come. That host, I think we have lost that somewhat.
Personal touch.
Yeah, we try to keep it in our businesses, but sometimes it's difficult to justify to investors. What is this person doing?
Yeah.
Guest relations manager? What is this person doing? But you already have a reception manager. No, but it's not the same. This is a person that is there with you. Is a person that sits down, is a person that is extroverted, is a person that is welcoming, is a person that is attentive, is more than a restaurant manager. And I think this is what we have to go back to.
I'm curious, and Abdullah, you're the newest kid on the block in this sector. What's missing for you, that the edge that we're not connected with yet, that we should be embracing?
That's a tough question.
I didn't say it was going to be easy.
I think for me is the market always comes back in cycles. It's like we look at the bells and whistles and the jiggles and the thing that's bright and sparkly, whether it's tech, whether it's something else, or I don't know, a new way of doing, I don't know, Robo Chef or I don't know. But we always go back to the basics. And I think with a lot of other markets as well, sectors, it always tend to be the same. By going back to our roots, we find new. By thinking back as to how we used to do things and why we did them. We did them with purpose. We did them with, integrity, with that human touch, with that sentiment. And I think
Kind of what Alex is saying.
yeah, I think we always go back to that.
Yeah.
I think always go back to the three pillars.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's next, to be honest. And I think it's like, especially with AI, since it's a big topic, I can bet that we're all using AI, but 90% of our usage is like a waste of time right now. Either like, what's the weather in New York, or what's the, what do I wear today, or something silly like that. But I think as and when that develops, we'll go back to our roots and kind of really make it worthwhile for us to use in our businesses, in our lives. And especially now we're talking about restaurants. And I think that'll be the whole thing, is just going back. And we see it across industries because, with our medical business, it's the same. We go back and see what actually matters and take up the new methods and the new tech to serve us better.
Thank you. I don't know if there's a screen here that says our time is up. I don't know if anybody has anything they wanted to ask us, or whether we can take it outside over a gin and tonic. I see a hand up, ma'am.
Hello. I'd like to ask something for basically something. So you've been talking about mainly based on like restaurants and where people can come in and buy your food and get your experience. How do we translate that into a cloud kitchen where you don't get to really interact with your customers? So you can't really sell an experience. And how do you bring fusion food or something, that, there's a saturated market for a lot of cuisines, but if you want to, translate that into fusion food through a cloud kitchen, how would you do that? And what exactly do you think, the limitations of that is? And how can I make it work for
It's
myself?
a whole other game show in our
I
whole
think
other
you can still interact with it.
Yeah, you can. What's your customer journey from the experience on the app to the fella knocking on the door? And it's really important. Again, we talked about this. The customer journey is just different, but you have to make it work because the margin, how that cake is cut so thinly today.
Yeah, but when you deliver, so when you're giving that back to that Deliveroo, Noon, whoever it is that is delivering, you have an opportunity to communicate something.
Yeah.
You can put a personal note in there. You can personalize the bag. You can do so many things still.
You should talk to Alex afterwards because, again, the small bit of work that we did together on that, the theatre of delivery, the theatre of the journey is so important.
Yep.
And you cannot leave any stone unturned. Every minute of that journey, which is critical now. I mean, we talked about the Costa experience. We don't deliver espresso because it's not going to last.
Hey, can I answer that as well?
Yeah.
I think because I tried it actually over COVID. We tried to figure out how to do new delivery brands that could satisfy different times of day. And because I think you said fusion. So if you're saying fusion, I presume you mean multiple cuisines and multiple things in a plate. In my view, it's about quality, first and foremost, and value. Like I've often thought about this a lot, actually. Like, what is the perfect plate? And what does it look like? Like, what is the perfect meal? And what is it like? Is it protein and it's fiber and it's, carbohydrate and it's, it's sweet, sour, salty, spicy, herbaceous, floral, whatever. So if anyone can crack like what the perfect plate is and then figure out how to like Apple it or something, like make the Tesla of that plate, that's like $1 billion company. But that's pretty hard. So
And me, not Tom, when you find that out.
I agree with you. There's so much opportunity there, and that space is up and down. Oh my goodness! But getting it right is an art. It really is.
Someone did make it, Bemi Giwa, catfish, but it's a shame she left. She had it down to a T in the cloud kitchens. Brilliant.
Cool. Okay, I think we're done, are we?
Anyone
We're
like
gonna
questions? Very quick on, guys, because we're out of
there's more.
time.
And we'll finish on Margarita.
Hi. Since this topic is with respect to disruption, I just wanted to understand, based on Abdullah's last point, stating that how to use AI, right? Now, AI is still in an evolving phase across all the industries. Let's say if AI is completely evolved, what is that one thing that you would want AI to do for you? I'll give you an example. So we have like 50 plus restaurants across UAE. I would want that when a customer walks in, I have all his, how many times has he dined in with us? What are the kind of orders that is placed? Is an example. Now, each one of you, if you can tell me what you want the AI to do for you.
I would want to know what the other guest feels before he or she leaves the dining room or my coffee house.
Follow-up review. I mean, but what you mentioned, there's already some reservation systems that actually have all that embedded.
It's up to your imagination. What you want the AI to do for you.
Restaurant owner or as a customer?
As an owner, as a restaurant owner, what do you want AI to do for you?
I think just comment on the first
Like
part.
a superpower.
My thoughts are, I think the technology is here, but I think our adoption of the tech is still lacking. So I don't think the lack is in the tech. I think is how we make use of the tech that's lacking. Because you can create Hollywood level videos in a snap. So if you can't tell me that you can't have like a facial recognition, let's say in the store, or to identify which customer ate what, for example, if you want to go that deep, at what time, or if an incident happens, let's say Tom, God forbid, has an incident in one of his stores, They tell him it happened in so-and-so date, so-and-so time. Or he can just with one click of a button, let's say, review that incident and get all the customer details in one, let's say, dashboard. And I think maybe at a higher level, at least that's how I think, having multiple data sets in a dashboard where you can adequately take decisions in a timely manner without wasting too much time, or effort from the team. I think that's what really matters. But I think to answer again the first part, I really feel the tech is not lacking. I feel the adoption that's lacking.
Yeah. Margarita, if it's quick, and then we've got to jump. We're getting thrown out of the Conrad, not for the first time.
Yes. Hello. I'm so sorry. It's also about AI. So I would like to know your thoughts on the AI integration into the F&B sectors. Is it something we should fight against or something that we actually should welcome? And about the robots.
I think we should put that question to the next conference. Who's got a quick answer to it?
Bring it on.
I have a really quick
Bring it
answer
on.
to
Okay.
that one, if that's okay. I think in a world that is full of wires, let's stay connected. We're just automatizing absolutely everything. We're just looking for data. We're just looking at technology over and over again. And we're missing the human aspect of actually going back, utilizing that data, taking it back to the people and asking them why. What's this result? Why is it happening? So for me, AI, and we were talking about these things, AI, ChatGPT, Power BI, you name it, great tools. But if we don't utilize them to bring back to the people and ask why, it's just going to be data. So let's stay connected, I think. That's my 5 pence on this one.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our wonderful panelists. Let's give them a nice round of applause. If we can just get a group photo at the front of the stage, that'll be wonderful. Thank you so much. Great stuff. Make it a nice one. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. Amazing discussion. Thank you for your questions as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the FFCC, the Ops Deep Dive. Have you enjoyed the sessions today? Have we learnt a lot of stuff? Have we made some new friends? Fantastic. That's what we like to hear. We'd like to say a big thank you to Minnie and George once again for putting on this amazing event. Let's give them a nice round of applause. And the fantastic team behind it. We are going to give you some refreshments as well for the latter part of the evening. So please do keep networking, enjoy yourselves, keep the discussions going. Don't forget to get your little cards as well to be able to download your photos. Scan one side to download the latest report and also get your photos as well. And we will see you at the next conference, and keep all your questions, your thoughts and insights for the next one. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening and get home safely. Thanks so much.